Abilene, Texas, buzzed with the energy of cowboys and townsfolk seeking out adventure and excitement. The streets were dusty and lively, filled with laughter and shouts, but there was an undercurrent of tension. Local bullies roamed the town like wolves, ready to pounce on anyone they perceived as weak or different. It was a place where newcomers were often met with suspicion and ridicule. As the sun reached its peak overhead, a figure appeared on the horizon, limping slowly along the dirt road. This was Micah Stone, a mysterious drifter whose tattered coat flapped in the breeze. His worn boots kicked up clouds of dust with each step, making him an easy target for the bullies who thrived on tormenting others. They laughed at his uneven gait, not realizing that beneath his unassuming exterior lay a past filled with honor and bravery. Little did they know that this stranger would soon challenge their cruel ways and change everything in Abilene. As Micah Stone limped into the heart of Abilene, the midday sun beat down fiercely, casting long shadows that danced along the ground. Dust swirled around him with every uneven step, causing whispers among the townsfolk who paused their daily routines to steal curious glances. His tattered coat fluttered slightly with the wind, framing a figure that both intrigued and puzzled them. The lines on his weathered face told stories of hardship, while his piercing eyes seemed to hold secrets untold. Children peeked from behind wooden barrels, and shopkeepers paused their work, captivated by this stranger whose presence felt different from those who often passed through. Micah moved with a quiet strength. His limp hinted at past injuries, but could not mask the core of resilience deep within him. Though he wore an expression of resignation, there was something unyielding beneath it, was as if he carried the weight of a hidden history that would soon unveil itself when fate called upon him in this dusty town. As Micah moved further into town, the raucous laughter of a group of local bullies pierced the air. Led by a brash ruffian named Cole, they lounged against the wooden railing of the saloon, their eyes narrowing as they spotted the newcomer. With sly grins and sharp jabs, they called out to Micah, making crude jokes about his limp and ragged clothes. "Look at that poor old fool," Cole shouted, prompting chuckles from his gang. Micah kept walking, ignoring their taunts as a crowd began to gather, intrigued by the unfolding scene. With each step, Cole's jeers grew louder and more mocking. "Careful, you might trip over those shoes," the other bullies chimed in, encouraging their leader while feeling emboldened by the crowd's attention. As the laughter echoed through the dusty street, Micah's expression remained unchanged, mix of calm determination and buried pain. Deep inside, he knew that their ridicule reflected their insecurity, unaware that his quiet strength would soon become evident in ways they could not imagine. As Micah endured the jeers of the bullies, a sudden flashback swept through his mind, transporting him to a different time. He saw himself as a young cavalry soldier, proud and brave, riding alongside comrades through endless fields under a bright blue sky. The thrill of battle rushed through his veins, and he felt invincible, charged with the duty to protect his country. But that feeling of glory was shattered during a fierce confrontation with enemy forces. In the chaos of gunfire and smoke, Micah made a split-second decision to save a fellow soldier caught in the line of fire. He dashed forward, but an enemy bullet struck him, sending him tumbling to the ground. The pain was excruciating, yet it paled in comparison to the fear of losing his friend. Now, as he limped through Abilene, the injury that had once been a symbol of his sacrifice also served as a reminder of the courage it took to stand tall against overwhelming odds. With those memories fueling his spirit, Micah knew he was more than just a target for ridicule. As Micah stood amidst the mocking laughter, the tension in the air thickened when 6 armed thugs, recognized as local troublemakers, swaggered into the scene. Their leader, a burly man named Jett, had a reputation for cruelty and was eager to prove his dominance. With each step they took towards Micah, the townsfolk sensed a shift. Excitement mixed with apprehension rippled through the crowd. Jett's eyes glinted with malice as he shouted, "What's the matter, old man? Can't take a little joke?" His gang laughed uproariously, their weapons glinting in the sun as they circled Micah like vultures. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, and whispers spread among onlookers about what might happen next. Micah remained still, his calm demeanor contrasting sharply with the escalating hostility around him. He could feel their intent to not only humiliate him, but to break his spirit in front of everyone. Yet inside him, resolve began to build. He knew that this confrontation would be his moment to show the townand himself who he truly was. As the thugs closed in, Micah felt the weight of their mocking laughter and malicious intent. But instead of shrinking back, he straightened his posture, drawing on the inner strength that had seen him through countless battles. The townsfolk watched in silence, their anticipation hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. With a steady breath, Micah locked eyes with Jett, refusing to show any sign of fear or defeat. The limp that had once been a source of shame now felt like a badge of honor, a reminder of the trials he had overcome. He could feel the courage surging within him, fueling his determination to stand tall against these bullies. "Enough!" Micah's voice rang out, firm and unwavering. "You think you can break me? You know nothing of courage or honor." His words echoed through the crowd, turning heads and shifting perspectives. In that moment, Micah transformed from a mocked drifter into a figure of resilience, ready to confront his adversaries and reclaim his dignity. The midday sun blazed down upon Abilene as the showdown began, creating an intense spotlight around Micah and the 6 thugs. Micah stood his ground, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the aggression radiating from Jett and his crew. The crowd held its breath, eyes darting back and forth, captivated by the tension that filled the air like electricity. Jett brandished his weapon, a sneer plastered across his face. "You think you can take us on, old man?" he taunted, waving his gun menacingly. The other thugs echoed his bravado with shouts of encouragement, eager to witness the humiliation they hoped to inflict. But Micah remained undaunted. He slowly raised a hand, signaling them to stop. "You want a fight? I won't be your plaything," he replied with unwavering confidence. His voice cut through the jeers like a knife, silencing even the most rowdy onlookers. The townsfolk sensed a shift in the air. This was no ordinary confrontation. Micah was ready to unleash something powerful, and they could feel it building in anticipation. The air crackled with tension as the standoff reached its peak, and Micah's calm demeanor became more pronounced against the thug's hostile energy. As Jett sneered and gestured for his gang to close in, Micah slowly reached for his revolver gesture that commanded silence from the crowd. With a practiced hand, he drew the weapon, his expression steely and focused. The townspeople gasped, eyes wide in disbelief. They had underestimated this drifter. In one fluid motion, he aimed at a nearby barrel, firing a single shot that struck true, splintering wood into the air. The sound echoed like thunder, startling everyone. Micah then shifted his gaze back to Jett, who paled slightly. "You're not the only one with skill," he declared, his voice calm but firm. The crowd leaned in closer, their fear replaced with awe, as they recognized that this man was not merely a victim, but a formidable opponent. With his unmatched aim and quick reflexes on display, Micah prepared to defend himself and reclaim his honor amidst the gathering storm of confrontation. As the tension reached its peak, Micah's steady aim and calm demeanor caught the thugs off guard. Rather than firing at them, he chose a different route, aiming for their feet instead. With precise shots, he sent dust flying and forced the thugs to stumble back in surprise, their confidence wavering with each unexpected thud. The crowd gasped, but soon erupted into murmurs of amazement and approval. Micah's actions demonstrated not only his skill, but also a remarkable restraint. He was showing that true strength didn't have to come from violence. Jett and his gang looked at each other in confusion, their bravado fading in the face of this unexpected display. "Think twice before you try to intimidate someone again," Micah warned, his voice steady yet firm. The thugs, realizing they were outmatched, both physically and mentally, began to retreat, casting wary glances back at the now respectful townsfolk. In that moment, Micah turned a potential tragedy into a testament of character, leaving Abilene speechless and forever changed by what they had just witnessed. As the dust settled and the thugs retreated, a new understanding began to spread among the townsfolk of Abilene. They gathered around Micah, their eyes filled with admiration and respect, reevaluating the man they had once dismissed as just a drifter. The whispers of awe transformed into heartfelt commendations for his courage, skill, and restraint during the standoff. Children who once giggled at his limp now looked up to him in admiration, while adults exchanged knowing glances and nods of approval. Micah's calm and collected response to aggression had dismantled the perception of weakness and replaced it with a newfound reverence. He had shown that true strength lies not only in fighting back, but also in demonstrating honor amid chaos. Jett and his gang slinked away, their bravado crushed under the weight of defeat, while Micah stood tall, absorbing the support around him. In that moment, he became more than just a passing drifter. He was now a symbol of resilience and bravura, living testament to overcoming adversity in a town ready to embrace change. In the aftermath of Micah's showdown, the town of Abilene began to reflect deeply on the lessons learned that day. What started as a display of ridicule transformed into a powerful message about courage, redemption, and the importance of looking beyond appearances. The once mocked drifter had shown them that true strength comes from within, that it is not merely defined by physical prowess or a stylish exterior, but rather by the integrity of one's character and actions. As townsfolk shared their newfound understanding, they realized how easily they had judged Micah based on his limp and tattered clothes. They discovered that beneath his unassuming facade lay a man of profound bravery and resilience, someone who had faced the worst and emerged with honor intact. Micah's story reminded everyone that redemption is possible for those willing to stand up against adversity, highlighting the importance of kindness and empathy. In changing their view of him, the townspeople found an opportunity to change themselves, as well teaching future generations to embrace strength in all its forms and to never underestimate anyone based on their outward appearance.